And I was lucky enough to play for Don in 1976-77 season. First of all, I want to thank every one of you for coming here. Don was reluctant to have this dinner in his honor. When we talked about it, he said to me, he said, Whitey, I will only do it under one condition, that this is a celebration of Needham soccer and not just a celebration of Don Brock. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a celebration of Needham soccer. Needham soccer is a success story. This celebration is of 50 years of what we all have in common, which is being lucky enough to participate in this town-wide organization. It is also a celebration of what we know to be the illustrious career of Donald C. Brock. Some of you are aware of a book written in 2010 by the author Malcolm Gladwell. He wrote a book called Outliers. And the premise of the book is fairly simple. Success does not come on its own. Success is bred in an environment. You need people who think differently, and then you have to have an environment that allows that different thinking to prosper. We here are the beneficiaries of success in Needham soccer. But in Needham soccer, this is Don Brock's story as our outlier. It has come together so that we have an outlier who decided that soccer was a good thing for this community, and we have all benefited from what he has done. But Don will be the first to tell you it isn't a story of one man, it's a story of many people. Don began, and most of you know this, in 1961. And he started the very first Needham High School soccer team in a novice Bay State league. In a very short time, 6 or 7 years, that team developed younger players who wanted to play because they watched that team. And they learned to play like this. This is Robbie Patoric in 1967. Guys my age who were lucky enough to be 7, 8, 9 years old who got to go down a cricket field and watch those teams. And then we hounded our parents to see if we could find a place to play. And so the success that Don created and the program he created and the success that the 68 team engaged in all came together. But there's another factor that a lot of people don't know. And that is in 1961, when Don Brock was starting Needham High School soccer, in 1961 there were men from Aberdeen, Scotland coming over. 3 guys in particular. Bill Middleton, Stanley Willocks, and Sandy Stewart. Sadly, neither Stanley or Sandy is with us, but I would ask Bill Middleton to stand up for the rest of you. These 3 men, and there was a fourth man named Eric Sullivan, they loved football. And they brought their passion over, and they took their passion down to cricket field. In the mid-1960s, they began to play pickup soccer at cricket field. And they were kind enough to allow those of us who were lucky enough to play to come down and play with them. And I remember one of my very first memories is playing down at cricket field with Bill and his friends and some older players. And Bill and Stanley, in their Scottish accent, would say to you when we were young, "Pick your spot, son." And they would say that when you were going into a shooting situation. And I didn't understand the accent, and for years I thought they were saying, "Pick your sport." And I thought that if I missed that shot, that meant I should really go and play field hockey. It was a while later that I realized he was saying, "Pick your spot, son," and I missed it anyways. But these three guys said that we can do something, we're passionate about the game, and we are happy to start to coach the youth in Needham. So what you have is you've got the imagination and insight of Don, you've got the passion and the enthusiasm of these guys from Aberdeen, and then you also have the coordination and commitment of several men from Needham. And eventually, when you put those elements together, you soon have this, the Needham Soccer Club, which was formed in 1969. I want to mention the Needham Soccer Club pioneers because that is a part of our legacy and that is a fabric of all we are today. And they should be acknowledged. The outlier, the Pied Piper, and the Godfather is undoubtedly Don Brock. The first organizers and administrators, and there are more than these gentlemen, but these are the principal gentlemen. Bill Gorham, Dick Fisher, and Hart Swaffield were the three men who started to put Needham in a league with Wellesley to get a youth soccer team together. And they deserve their applause too. The ambassadors and the original teachers were Bill Middleton, Stanley Willocks, and Sandy Stewart. And we owe a great gratitude to all three of those gentlemen. And then there are these distributors of equity. There are two men in particular who saw the fun that we were having on the boys' side and said the girls should be getting into this too. And that was Vern White and Joe McDermott. We know that when you put good things together, there is a synergistic effect. And the synergistic effect in Needham was, in 1961, Don Brock beginning the program. An interest in soccer developed among the younger siblings of the people that Don coached. In 1968, 7 years into coaching, Don Brock had a state championship. In 69, the Needham Soccer Club is organized, and then after that, you have the intertwined success of Needham High School and Needham Soccer Club. Needham Soccer Club developed skills, and the Needham High School was an opportunity to showcase that success to the community, and we all are lucky enough to be in a community that greatly embraced it, and I am very proud, and I'm happy to be with all of you tonight. Given the fact that the Needham Soccer has only been in existence for 54 years, you would think that there would be lots of different people to coach, and there are not. The varsity coach, so that everybody understands this historically. Don began in 1961, and there was a hiatus. He went to Newton, came back to Needham, and in 63 through 66, Fred Preston was actually the boys' coach, and Don coached the JV. And then Don resumed the reins in 1967, and he continued until 2014. Fred Preston had the years between 62 and 66. Those are two men in a 54-year history who have been Needham's coach before this year. The junior varsity similarly did not have that many people who coached that program. Don had his reign from 63 to 66. Tommy Walsh coached from 67 to 1973. Russ Norton coached from 74 and then 79 to 82. And then the Army last but not least, deserves a round of applause. Paul did not do that. The past Needham High School girls coaches, and there haven't been many of those. Carol Vanbury began the program in 75 and this is what we have, folks. This is a result of everything that these folks did in this room. They take individuals, they put them together, they get 11 on the field, and then the synergistic effect is that we are all tied together. Everyone in this room is tied together, and that tie began with Don Brock. We are Needham High School Walkers. We are the legacy and the sons of Don Brock, and we are Needham Soccer. Everyone in this room is Needham Soccer. We are going to get dinner shortly, and I want to eat, but I do want to. I want to acknowledge several people that put this together. First, the Needham Soccer Club was generous enough to underwrite this and to work with the scoreboard, and they deserve your applause. Next, there are several women who worked very hard on this affair. I will name them all, and then I want to tell you what they did before you give them a round of applause. Diane Nardi, Leslie Tillotson, Gail Bazillian, and Brenda Miskin. Now let me tell you what they did. They made this. Wow. All right, the three blind mice. That's Carl Tarabelli, Mark Miskin, and I. Can't do this. We can barely do this. They put the flowers together. They worked on videotapes. They put slides together. When they talked about what the table setting should be, they said, "Okay, gentlemen, you should leave. We don't need you at all." And they made this to make it an affair that's worthwhile, and I think they deserve a round of applause. Carl and I did the grunt work, but Mark did the real work. Mark Miskin did the real work tonight. Mark was the one who tried to promote the message. He was the one who had to sort through the responses. He was the one who had to keep the messages going out, to make sure that we had people at tables, to try and pull this fabric together, because, folks, this isn't happening again. This is our celebration right now. And I want Mark Miskin to get a big round of applause. I would ask that if you have an opportunity, go around the tables, see what's in the back, see what's in the front here. There's a lot of great stuff. We will have an opportunity to see some history. We'll have an opportunity to hear from some people. We'll have an opportunity to have some fun. But from the bottom of my heart, and I know certainly I'm speaking for Don, thank every one of you for being here. Let's enjoy the night. Thank you all.
just put it all in down.
Thank you. Right now, I need the mic.
As for the process of dessert, there were a couple of people that, because of remarks and some worthy citations, I think it's appropriate time to do it. First, what I'm proud to announce and introduce someone who has a very different relationship with Don Brock than the vast majority of people in this room. It is soccer related, but it is not soccer related from a coach-player standpoint. It's soccer related from a referee-coach standpoint. This is a man who has been involved in Needham soccer for years, but has been in the middle of these matches and not on one sideline or the other. And he has some remarks that he would like to share with you. I know that there are, I'm one, and I've got at least two brothers who've all been booked by him at some point. Probably others around here, but I would ask that you give a warm round of applause to referee emeritus John Buckley.
I'm here representing, I can't see out of these things, but I assign referees through Arbiter, and I'm assigning on the computer all day, and they tell me, rest your eyes by wearing glasses at night, and you can't see for squat. I'd just like to... I had a very frightening experience on the way in tonight. Of course, I waited in the car a little bit to see if my Irish could hold on against the biddies of Davy, who were chopping at their ankles, hoping to send them to the grave. And I walked by Billy McCullen. Now, Mike McCullen is here, and Mike McCullen is living proof that every family should have one normal son. I hugged Billy, and Billy said, Don was like a father to me, and you brought me direction. And I said, Billy, way back, when if they ejected a player, the player could be replaced. It was miserable. I had you at Boston College one night, and Babson was beating the hell out of BC, which I enjoyed very much. And Billy decided, after the BC goalkeeper, some poor young kid who had trouble with English, came out and got the ball and looked around, took a few steps. Billy ran, not 10, not 15, but probably 25 steps, and knocked the kid into the goal. And I immediately ejected him, and I said, Billy, you can't do that. And he says, I know, but the game was so boring, it seemed like so much fun. So Don, out of the thousands of kids that have gone through your hands, okay, you can't win them all. I took the soccer test in 1967. Now that's scary, because I'm still doing it. As long as the legs can move. In fact, they don't even have to move, just manage. But I then realized that nobody doing the sport, refereeing it, knew any more than I. And I grew up under the bridge in Chelsea, enjoying lead-based paint. And the only soccer match that I ever saw in my life, we were coming out of football practice. I was the only record American advertiser, all scholastic end, who caught 54 balls on a team that only won one game. But we played Everett every Saturday, so it didn't matter anyway. And I saw one soccer match, and of course the referee in 1961, or 62, when I was in high school, was about 4'6", being chased by 22 other players, all about 4'6". And I said, soccer must be a fun sport. But my wife let me take the test because she knew if I took the basketball exam, I'd be talking to my fourth wife down the road. And she said, you'll be home for dinner. Don screwed that up years later. He screwed it up. I wasn't home for dinner. But in 1967, I did my first varsity match after doing 4 JD games. Of course, I was ready. If it hits somebody in the arm, you're going to call something, I guess they called it. And I came to Cricket Park I refer to it, not Cricket Field, Cricket Park. It has this young lady, you might remember Patty McCrean explained to me once, and Otto, and I was all excited because the other referee was also doing his first varsity game, a guy named Francesco Scarcella. Of course, the assignment was very knowledgeable. He says, Francesco Scarcella is an Italian guy, and of course, growing up in Chelsea, I went, really? I thought he was a local rabbi. And at that point, I parked my brand new green Volkswagen. I see you there. Right behind the net, and the goals in those days went, I would call it from east-west, maybe the little parking area on the rise was on the Webster Ave side, maybe? Not that I remember names, Robbie. What happened was I parked my brand new green Volkswagen, and during the match, this tow-haired youngster was dominating. Of course, there was another kid there with a nice Polish name, I believe. I never forget the kids that screwed up my life. Fatorik took a pass from Steve Ravinsky. Am I close?
Yeah.
And Fatorik actually missed the net, skipped the crossbar, and broke my aerial. So I worked for $14, and the aerial cost me $16. I called 5 penalty kicks against Milton, which was a good place to put me that day, because I realized Milton had 11 football players, some of them on attack. I mean, the only time they got over midfield was on kickoffs. And so it was a good spot. At the end of the match, Don Brock came out and said, nice job, you can run like a deer, and I know you're going to do well. Boy, was he mistaken. I was so nervous that, you get nervous as a referee. And to be honest, I was probably as nervous as a one-legged guy at an ass-kicking contest. You know, I'm sorry. Father Mulcahy, are you here? Okay, that's very inappropriate nowadays. I told Billy McClellan, his contact with the goalkeeper could have been called some sort of international incident at that point because the kid didn't speak English. I was asked to say a couple of funny things about Don and my experiences with him because we go way back. And Don was a math teacher. Can anybody think of funny things about a math teacher? I mean, really, they have to be the most boring suckers. I mean, I taught math for 39 years. For me to get kids in middle school excited, at the end I became Fitty Buck, you know what I'm saying? And I wasn't Dr. Buckley or anything like that. You have to, because you ask questions from the back of the room. What do you mean by X? Then you know you have to talk through. They call it Common Core now. That's why my wealthy little grandsons all go to private school. But when you think of the kids that you coach, I have seen them all. I've walked up onto the... Don, unfortunately, screwed up my life and partially the Bay State Leagues because in 1974, he nominated me for State Referee of the Year, which pissed off a lot of people because there were old-timers that thought they should get the award, and we had to go to Chicopee where he presented it. And he shook my hand and said, I probably won't see you now much because the colleges will get you. So I used to see Don time and time again if he went to Bentley or went to a Harvard-Yale game. But I think of the Scotty Braytons at Hardwick. I remember going up into a frozen field one day and having Scotty Brayton say to me, I hope you're better now than you were at Needham. And I remember the bottom right of Columbia, never said a word, very, very quiet. In fact, I think a dear friend of his, Steve Pratt, had surgery. Does that name ring a bell? The same day that my oldest son had great Columbia teams. You picture, so many players. Your brother at UMass, he was a pain in the ass. I remember this Morrison kid who really wasn't the biggest kid in the world. He went sideline to sideline for your teams. I think his name was Morrison.
He's a math teacher.
He's a math teacher. Are you a math teacher? Okay. The lady will come with the extra fruit cup in a minute. Don gave me, I speak for all referees, Don was very good with referees. I assigned the Bay State Conference for 4 decades. before I realized I was making far much more money doing the dual county league than doing the basic league with 12 teams. So we decided to cut back a little bit, but it hasn't impacted. I helped along the way. Every place I've been, you know, I have been to, you know, Seattle Kingdom, Notre Dame. I went to Indiana once. I'm coming out of an IU St. Louis match, and some kid said to me, "Did you used to do Needham games?" I'm in dental school out here. And immediately I thought of Billy McCullen, because he went after more teeth than any dentist had. You've been a terrific role model, Don, for kids and for referees. How many years did I assign your matches? And Ani never called either. Never complained about a ref, because you knew most of them were human, okay, and that they were going to screw up along the way. I can remember doing a couple of your state finals. I'll never forget, you were out at 16. I used to see you on TV in hockey, and my wife would say, "Is that the kid?" So funny. I tried to get one laugh. I'll end with this. I tried to get one laugh out of him once. And it was actually partly a true story. I worked with Jim Calder, who you remember well. I remember Jim is still with us. And Don said to me, of course, Don was a multitasking type of person. He'd be looking around at kids warming up, talking to the ref. So pre-game, I came over, shook his hand. He said, "I heard you're having your 25th wedding anniversary." And I said, "Yeah, in 25 years. I says, "Boy, I tell you, it gets tough, Don." And he says, "Really, what are you going to do?" I said, "Well, on my 20th, I took my wife to Hawaii." He says, "That's terrific. What are you going to do on your 25th? I says, "I'm going to go back and pick her up." He never laughed. He never laughed. He stood there and said, "Buck, have a nice game." That's absolutely true. The next thing I want to say, other than Kyle said he's going to get me another Rockets t-shirt. Remember when your name was Carlo? It used to be Carlo, you know? It showed you. That was the last time in our millennials, I guess, anybody ever assimilated in this country. You went from Carlo to... Never mind, that's politically incorrect. I feel like Donald Trump. You're all stupid. Actually, the way we go, we probably are. The last thing going is that starting this fall, we are going to have the soccer referees in Eastern Mass are going to present an award. And it's just not going to be a Don Brock sportsmanship award. We'll work on the terminology, and it'll have something to do with honor. Because you brought more than sportsmanship to the game, you brought honor. And it'll be given to I have no idea what Ed Ray brought me up here. Is this my birth certificate or something? No? Okay, I did come from Chelsea.
Yep.
And had the surgery.
You're officially illegal.
So Don, have a great night. You're the best. There was nobody better.
Thanks, John. We have a couple of governmental awards that are going to be presented. First, Town Selectman Dan Matthews is going to come up. He has a proclamation Robbie Fedor's name off. We have a proclamation from the town, and we have a letter from Congressman that Dan Matthews. Thank you. Thank you all. And thank you. I did not play soccer in high school, but I was at Needham High School in 1968, and the team was pretty good without me. And we've done a lot since then. And as Todd said, I've got 50 years, by the way, officially. One thing I have not do. This is Don Brock Day in the town of Needham. Minority Board of Selectmen. And I have also a letter from our Congressman Joe Kennedy recognizing and thanking Don for all of his work. And we would say a couple of things. The congressional district has over 600,000 people in it. And the towns, of which there are 38 in our district, go all the way in the Brookline and all the way over to Wellesley and then down to the South Coast. So there's a lot of good soccer here. And when Joe takes the time to write, it's really, it's a thoughtful thing, and I hope that the recognition is appreciated as it is well deserved. And I won't read all the details, but it closes. It's an absolute honor to serve citizens such as you who contributed so much to our country through your lifetime. I truly hope your day of celebration is served with joy and happiness, and that all of your future endeavors may be met with success and prosperity. Congratulations and best wishes, Joseph P. Kennedy III, Member of Congress. And that's from... And although I did not play soccer in high school, I did go to school. And while I was there, I had math courses with Arnie Almquist and with Coach. And among the things that we got out of that, in Arnie's section, as I recall, that's where we got probability, which explains some, helped me understand what DraftKings is all about. And when we talk about outliers, Don taught a new subject that they'd never had before about some stuff that they weren't sure if it was going anywhere. It was called computer science. And I guess that has turned out to be a little bit of something. And then, of course, some of the stuff does last you as you go on in years. There are carryovers, as many of you know, from what happens on the field to what happens later in life. And in my experience in politics and government, I think of the advice of Bill Middleton, which is, it goes better if you make your teammates look good. If you don't have the ball, you still got to work hard. And sometimes, when it's not going the way it's supposed to go, it's okay to say, rubbish. So I have a proclamation. Whereas Don Brock was born in Buffalo, New York, raised in Duxbury, Mass., and attended Bridgewater State College and Boston University, and he and his wife Jane settled in Needham to raise their family, and Don began teaching in 1959. Don taught mathematics at Needham High School for 44 years, serving as director of the mathematics department for 13 years. And whereas Don began coaching the first high school soccer team in 1961, coached a year at Duke North High School before returning to Needham High, where he served as JV coach and then as varsity coach beginning in 1967, and from that point, coaching soccer at Needham High School for 48 consecutive years. And whereas Don's accomplishments as a coach have been extraordinary. Under his leadership, the Needham High schoolboy soccer team has won 20 Bay State Conference titles, 15 South Sectional titles, 10 Eastern Massachusetts titles, and 5 state championships, most recently in 2012. And in his final season, 2014. Don Brock's career total of 696 wins is among the highest ever for high school coaches nationwide. And whereas, during his career, Don has been named High School Coach of the Year, Boston Globe Coach of the Year, Boston Herald Coach of the Year, and Coach of the Year by Eastern Massachusetts Soccer Coaches Association, elected to the Massachusetts State Soccer Hall of Fame, and received a Distinguished Service Award from the National Coaches Association and the National Federation of Interscholastic Coaches Association. And whereas Coach Brock contributed to the founding and success of the Needham Soccer Club, coaching, serving as a board member, and helping institute the Needham Memorial Day Soccer Tournament, which continues to this day. And whereas Don Brock has coached and mentored thousands of soccer players during his career, making a significant difference in the lives of student athletes both during their school years and through lasting impact of that coaching on their later lives, both on and off the field. Now therefore, we, the Board of Selectmen of the town of Needham, do hereby proclaim Saturday, October 10, 2015 as Don Brock Day in the town of Needham, and express our appreciation and warmest congratulations to Don Brock on his lifetime achievement and service to the students and families of the town of Needham by unanimous vote. Your Board of Selectmen of the town of Needham. Thank you very much. now have the honor of introducing State Representative Denise Garlick, who has a governor's citation to present to John Ross. Denise?
Good evening, Coach, and all the Brock family. I am invited here by virtue of my position, but I came here by virtue of the fact that I am the mother of a soccer player under Coach Brock from the years 2003 to 2005, and the mother of a girls soccer player, and I know Jackson Foster is here, and I know that there were many conversations and guidance and fostering of that program as well by Coach Brock, so I thank you for that. I have for you a proclamation by the governor, and with that, he has sent you a handwritten note and wishes you all the best. Called you, Coach, and signed it from Charlie Baker, Needham High School class of 77, I believe. So, and I also bring to you, 75. Oh, I see. I'm trying to get in his good graces and make him younger, you know? I also have for you a proclamation from the House of Representatives and the State Senate. The importance of these proclamations is for, it's a resolution actually, the resolution is actual legislation. It has been carefully drafted with lots of input from people who admire and love you, Coach, and is recorded in the history of Massachusetts. So for all of time, the things that we know, people will always know. I like to endear myself to people by not reading the entire proclamation, which has 10 whereases and 2 resolved. But I would like to say this to you, Coach, that I'm honored to represent our community, to express our appreciation and gratitude for you in all of your roles. We honor you as a father, we respect your public service as a teacher, and we celebrate your incredible career as a coach. Generations of Needham students, some student athletes, have benefited from the qualities you demonstrate, and you have been a role model for as a coach, both on and off the field. So thank you so much, Coach, with love and gratitude from your community.
We are now lucky enough to have actual highlight film. A number of people spent a fair amount of time, and the good ladies from that table that have really worked with us to pull this together. We were able to get a number of different people to coordinate and speak on this. It's not particularly long, but I think they did a terrific job. So if you'll turn your attention, we'll turn down the lights. You gotta get to the film.
Hey there, Coach Brock. Carl Lavage with the worldwide leader in sports here at ESPN. Not that far from Needham, actually, just down the road. And what a night. What a great night this is for you. It's so well-deserved with all your success to be surrounded by your former players. I truly wish I could be there, but October is a brutal time for those of us that cover that sport. Obviously, you know we're in the middle of the playoffs. Red Sox notwithstanding, it's just a bad year for them. I want to say is just a couple of things before we hear from some of the other former players. First and foremost, I was part of the 82-83 team, which I believe were also known as the lean years. And I didn't know the Jim McAvoy's, Charlie Rizzo's, John Deneen's of the world. We did beat Wellesley, which I recall as being one of the great highlights that I had in my soccer career under you. A couple of other things I remember from a game against Needham, Massachusetts. And I was surrounded by Hall of Fame coaches and managers here at ESPN. And you guys are a weird bunch. You're very quirky. But your advice to us in that denim game has really resonated with me for a long, long time. This was our junior year, and Charlie Rizzo and I were forwards on that team, and we just weren't really very good at that point. So you looked down at the bench because some of the star players were getting a little tired, and you said, Rizzo, Travis, get over here for a second. We need you to go in, and we need you to do one thing. And we didn't know what you were going to say, but you threw out the term buzzsaw. So I looked at Charlie, and Charlie looked at me, and we didn't know what the hell that meant. We just told enough to do anything real. So go in there and just run around really fast and try to cause as many problems as you can. And give our star players a little break so they can come back in just 2 or 3 minutes. Was the math class that you taught with me in it. And full disclosure, Coach Brock, I have no idea what level of math that was, other than to know that I felt like I benefited by being on the soccer team. 2 Dons got me through that math class. Don Brock and a student named Donald Flummerfeld, who I'll never forget, because without Don Flummerfeld and Don Brock, that's probably not going to happen. He had a huge impact on me. I still limp around the studio because I trashed my knee my junior year. But all is good now, and I know all is great with you. It's time now to hear from some of your other former players, and I'll turn it over to my good friend, Mike Vick. Congratulations, Coach. Well deserved.
50 years of practices, bus rides, sunny afternoons, and rainy mornings filled with mud. In more than 5 decades, you can say that there has been literally millions of kicks, millions of saves, millions of miles that have been run up and down the field. And through it all, one man has been witness to it all. Don Brock. His legacy, however, is not measured by days or years. It is measured by the inspiration he gave, the standards he set, and the ambition he instilled in every one of his players.
I believe you told me you had 1,200 players come through your program.
It's about that many, yes. It's been a lot. I couldn't name them all. I wouldn't want to pick the best ones either.
Congratulations on your retirement, Coach. I just wanted to say thank you for all you've done for me in the past and the Needham soccer program. I'll never forget 3 years I was able to play for you. Some of the best times of my life, and it's a true honor that I was able to be on one of your state championship teams. Congrats.
Congratulations to the man, the myth, the legend, DB Don Brock.
What's up, Coach Brock? It's Donnie and Jack. We're here from UMass Amherst. We just want to say congratulations on a great career and congrats on retirement.
I want to thank you for everything you've done for us personally and for the Needham soccer program as a whole, and for creating some of the best memories of our lives to date. Congrats on retirement, and we'll see you soon.
Just wanted to thank you for everything you've done for me. You were great coach on the field. You were a better coach off the field. So I just want to say thank you, and I hope you enjoy your celebration.
Don, Mike Coleman here. You're the only guy who was older than me in the game, and now you're gone, but I congratulate you on a wonderful, wonderful career. It's my first Needham guy I ever got for you. He's doing great. Should have had his own man. I should have had his older brother. I finally got him. World coach, great guy, and I attribute it to you. And you've had a great, great, great career.
Congratulations, Coach Brock, on your retirement, and thank you for everything you did for us to be ended in a nice fashion, and I wish you the best.
Hey, Coach. Sorry I can't make it tonight. Congratulations on such an illustrious career, and have a great night.
Hey Don, how's it going? It's your former student, Stephen Hauschka here, out at practice in Seattle. I just want to congratulate you on an amazing career, and I want to let you know how much you impacted me growing up in the town of Needham. I used to go kick balls for hours on the field practicing, trying to get ready for the season at Needham High, and you know, same within the classroom. I worked my tail off for your calculus class, and man, it's made me a better person, and you know, it's part of why I'm doing what I do right now. So, you know, probably don't think so, but you did really inspire me growing up, and you know, we were so lucky to have you in the town of Needham. Congrats on your retirement.
Don Brock guided Needham High School boys soccer for 53 years.
Been to the state final 6 times, and there's some teams that have done an outstanding job. Certainly 77 was unscored upon for an entire season. Still in the record book for that.
And back in '68, when we had Robbie Fattori. It goes way back a long time.
He won league championships, South Sectional championships, Eastern Massachusetts championships, and state championships. 50 years of consistency, success, and excellence is not simply remarkable, it is legendary. Tonight, we celebrate a legend, Don Brock.
I want to reiterate the great work that the women in the back table did. They did a terrific job with that. They deserve a round of applause. This wouldn't be a Needham soccer celebration and a celebration of Don Brock if it was only about the things that were good and great and success. It's also about the fun, it's about the teasing, and it's about the camaraderie we share. Now the level's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a little bit of a roast of Don Brock right now. I think there are things you are going to see that everybody in this room shared in and that they are going to enjoy. So I'm going to ask Carl to go. It's all set? Okay. This is Don Brock, and it's Needham soccer, but it's Don Brock by the numbers. And it's important that it's Don by the numbers because it is the amalgamation of his coaching and his math that made him what he is today and what we have received from him. In the beginning, God created heaven and earth in 6 days, and on the 7th day, he made Coach Don walk. And I want to prove this. This is the dinosaur timeline. The Triassic period had dinosaurs and mammals evolved, and that was 245 years ago. Birds evolved about 145 years ago in the Jurassic period. The Cretaceous period didn't have much going on. The dinosaurs became extinct. And then there was the lesser-known Bronchius period. The Bronchius period is also tantamount to the Cenozoic period, and it's about 65 million years old. Now, to be fair, archaeological estimates that Don is about 65 million years old might be a little exaggerated. But his dear friend Arnie Onquist has confirmed he has been around a hell of a long time. This is Don Brock as a high school player circa 1955. And I got my pointer. That is Don Brock, right there. See how focused he is on the ball? Ball gone, ball gone, ball gone, right like that. And I think what's interesting is Don's high school team had better uniforms than Needham High School had for like 14 years. In his early 20s, this is what God's coaching machine creation looked like. See the little reminder at the bottom? Don't forget to study. He was young, steel-jawed, and entirely focused on the tasks at hand. Look at that steel jaw in that math class right there. He is serious about putting those things up. I was a little more relaxed, but he did say, this is the most immature class I've ever known. With a smile on his face. From the very beginning, he was ready to take eager young men and introduce them to a brand new athletic option at Needham High School. Soccer. Really, it's association football is the correct term, but we call it soccer anyway. Coach Brock began the program, as you all know, in 1961, and after leaving Fort Newton school system for a year, returned to Needham in the fall of 1963. This is his first 1961 Needham High School soccer team. There's Coach Brock in the back, still smaller than every single player on the team. 62 to 66, as we've said, Fred Preston coached the varsity, and Don headman the junior varsity. He returned to the helm of the program as the varsity coach in the fall of 67, and the rest, as they say, is, in fact, history. This is Needham High School soccer circa the late 1960s. Don in the middle, and it's one of the Kereses? Yes. And who else is with them? There you go. This is that team, 1968. Now look, we all know they wore shirts with funny laces, they had knee pads, they had weird socks, but listen, they were finally playing Jogo Bonito, the beautiful game. And who would be better to start this program than a young guy with a Marine haircut from Duxbury, Massachusetts? Look at that hair. After Coach Brock was finally relieved of his ROTC duties at Needham High School, a certain change appeared in style and decorum. Some would say a Mooser sort of Woodstock-style free spirit took over Needham High School. And Don Brock. To be sure, it wasn't just about the hairstyle, it was also about a fresher, more fashionable way to dress, too. There were added benefits to this new liberated style and look. Don took a moonlighting job as a stand-in for Larry Fine of the Three Stooges. And I'm not kidding, watch this, I'm not kidding. This scared me. Here is Larry Fine of the Three Stooges, all right? Now watch this. Here is Don Brock. Look at this. Here's Larry. Here's Don. Put them together. And now we go. How's that possible? That's great. I think it's amazing. Throughout over half a century of coaching at Needham High School boys, and the core values that can only be found in the search for excellence. Coach Don Brock may have walked in step with Father Time, but he always tweaked his look. This is the orderly look. He's got the sweatsuit, the whistle right in the right place, right underneath the lapel there. This is now the conservatively casual hipster look. See that? Sort of relaxed look at that point in time. See the sideburns, when we get back to that, a little festering mullet in the back, too. See that little festering mullet back there? Got a little bit there, the sideburns, very casual. Then he goes to the shine-on-like single ringlet of hair frolicking down over his forehead look. What's that? What is going on here? Then he gets the Donny Osmond, I bet you babe, good-natured semi-pro look. Here's Don. Now watch this. Here's Donny Osmond. Now look at them together, Don. Donny Osmond. They're lookalikes, it's unbelievable. And then he goes to the less encumbered, loosen up and let it grow look. All right, we're going to let it grow. Finally, to the Dan Shank Shaughnessy impression. There's Don in class. And here's Dan Shaughnessy. Don? Shaughnessy. It's unbelievable how many people he looks like. It's amazing. Then he it gets the dressed up or dressed down, I still like to let it throw look. They're going a little crazy, maybe crazier, maybe craziest. Oh, maybe that's craziest. That might be crazier. And then eventually he gets the full Nick Nolte style mugshot look. Look at this. What's going on there? That's a prison shot right there. Then he circles back once again in the later part of his career to the casual conservatism. Hair's in a little bit better control. This is a retiree in the yearbook, 2004. A little less hair. But neither his hairstyle nor his fashion sense in any way ever altered how he coached. We know he coached like this. Or 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 really mad like this. He coached, and we know with hands firmly attached to his head, of course, by the numbers. And you really, literally could set your watch on. Look, he's looking at it right now. Set his watch to it right there. 180. Those are Don Brock's total losses as the Needham High School boys varsity coach. Now, to put that in perspective, let's just say that a person is fortunate enough to coach, for argument's sake, 10 years of high school soccer. Based solely on Don's career losses, he would have been 0-18 for each of those 10 years. Really not that impressive. 127. That's Don Brock's total ties as the Needham High School boys varsity coach. So even by Don's own description of a tie, nobody could actually enjoy kissing his own sister that many times. 307. That's the number of times that Don Brock was unable to get a W as the Needham High School boys varsity coach. And yet, surprisingly, he's still invited to the celebration. Think about that futility. It's amazing. All this adds up to, hypothetically, if he coached like a normal guy for, say, 17 seasons, an 18 match season, based solely on the numbers, this isn't fake math, this is real math, he would have been winless. That's if he was any other mortal. But he was not. He was always thinking about the numbers. Like the number of holes in a standard net. Look at him contemplating it, right there. Trying to figure that one out right there. Well, what formation is best? And what I want you to do is put your hands up if you were part of these formations. We'll see where we go. The traditional 2-3-5 with the WM. Put your hand up. Everybody, yes. There's a few 2-3-5 players. The 3-4-3. Got 3-4-3 players here. The 4-3-3. Come on, there's a lot of 4-3-3 players. There we go. The 4-4-2. Yeah, now we're getting somewhere. The 1-4-3-2, which we call the Catenaccio. Come on, everybody did that the last 5 minutes of a match. We all did it. I'll put my hand up. The overall left, the overall right. And I got to be honest with you, Mike O'Neill said, I have no idea what he's talking about right now. I know. You used to ask me, what are we playing? I said, just go to one side or the other. I'm not sure. And now, more progressively, the 4-2-3-1 with a flat back four. Nobody who is over 25 has ever played that formation. Sometimes him thinking about formation numbers led directly to him thinking about numbers that were specifically related to his players, like 9. That's the number of known father-son combinations Don coached at Needham High School. That's known. There are maybe a few more, we're just not sure of it. Harry Klein and his son Jeremy. Mark Miskin and his 3 sons, Ricky, Jake, and Brandon. Mark Leaders and his son Nick. Bobby Everett and his son Will. Bruce Levine and his son Mike. Jeff Schwartz and his son Harry. Jake Steves and his son Matt. Richie Raskin and his son Alex. And even his own son, Bobby. Give a hand, bro. This is a group photo of many of those that doesn't have every one because that was taken several years ago. There's a photo of Don and Bobby, probably in 1981, 82. And I have to tell you this, Bobby. John Deneen told me he was scared shitless of you when he was a sophomore. Is that right? You know? Scud. He said that's Bobby Brock. He was a scud. I didn't want to go near him. 3. That's the number of captains in 2006 season that were sons of fathers Don had coached at Needham High School. Now think about this. Here's a picture of them. That's Jeremy Klein, Nick Leaders, and Ricky Miskin. Every one of his captains that year was a son of a father that he had coached. That's unbelievable. 4. That's the number of his NSCAA All-Americans Don helped produce. Aaron Willigan, 2014, who is right now playing and would like to have been here, but he can't. Max Steve similarly played in 2012. My own brother, Doug White, 1975. And Bill McQuillan. Bill and Doug, stand up. 2 All-Americans who are after here. That's the percentage of time that Don Brock's Needham High School boys varsity team won the match in which he coached. 82. That's the percentage of time that Don Brock's Needham High School boys varsity soccer team was unbeaten in a match in which he coached. 400. The number of wins he had as a coach by only 1993. That's 22 years before he retired. Now, I have to stop at this. This took a couple games. This unfortunately wasn't the next game, right? It wasn't just there. So there was a lot of setup for this. Finally it came, and there was a lot of publicity you could find on the 400th win. It's a great photo. How many shots did that take to do that photo right there? 500. That's the number of wins he had as a coach by 2001. And again, that's 13 years before he retired. 600. The number of wins he had as a coach by October 27, 2008. And again, that's 6 full years before he retired. Fortunately, microfiche isn't that good. But we got a better picture here. That's a picture on the 600th win on October 27, 2008. 696. And I have to say that I cannot fathom being able to coach long enough to win 696 matches. That's the number of times his high school boys varsity soccer team won the match in which he competed. That deserves a round of applause. That's the record. When you look at that record, you sort of have to scratch your head. 696, 180, and 127. That's his overall record as the helm of the Needham High School boys varsity. 723, 183, and 132. That's his overall record when you combine his varsity and junior varsity soccer coaching experience. 44. That's the number of consecutive matches in a row in which Needham High School boys soccer teams went without a loss, 2012-2013. Picture of some of those players. 2. That's the number of times Don was named Boston Globe Coach of the Year in 1977 and 2012. 2. This is the number of times Don was photographed in the exact same position, in the exact same pose, wearing the exact same clothes, but at different times. This makes no sense to me. Watch this. All right, so here's Don. He's got Timmy Charlton and his daughter Debbie by him. All right? And there's Don. You put them together, how does this make sense? What happened to those guys and why did you not move at all? The wrinkles in the jacket are exactly the same. How is that possible? It wasn't Photoshop. They didn't have Photoshop in 1977. This is real. Which means he just stayed stoic on the sideline in that position for a long time. 71-0. That's the number of goals for and goals against in Don's 1977 season, which is a national record. 28. That's the number of consecutive matches in a row he coached without his high school team conceding a goal. It was 1977 through the beginning of the 1978 season.
PK.
260 to 14. That's the numbers of goals for compared to goals against for his teams between 1976 and 1978. And to put that in perspective, that's an 18.5 to 1 goals for to against ratio. And that certainly deserves a round of applause. That's the number of Bay State League Conference championships Don won. 15. That's the number of Massachusetts South Sectional titles for his team. 10. The number of Eastern Massachusetts championships. 5. That's the number of Massachusetts state championships. And here are those teams. 1968. 1977. 1995. 2012. 2014. Don's National Coach of the Year Award by the National Soccer Coaches Association of America, 1977. One, induction into the Massachusetts High School Hall of Fame. That's 1989. A great shot with his friend Arnie Arnquist getting that award. One, recipient of the NSCAA Robert W. Robinson Long-Term Service Award in 2014. This is the number that counts. That's the numbers of years that we, in this room, have been honored to have Don Brock coach soccer at Needham High School. I am honored to actually be able to ask Don to come up. I know this is not his favorite thing in the world to do, but he has been gracious enough to allow us to celebrate with him, and now I'd like to get a couple words from him.
I know it's been a fairly long night and much later than I usually stay up.
Told you to take a nap.
I have never been able to take a nap in my entire life, and I'm not going to start now. First of all, I want to thank especially my family, and there's 3 tables here, my wife Jane, who's been we've been together for so long, and it's just so wonderful to have her help me through a lot of the sometimes difficult times you have as a coach. And also the rest of the members of my family who, no matter when you coach, as you know, a lot of you are coaches, and you pass it forward. You have to give up quite a bit of time, you have to give up quite a bit of energy, and there's days that you don't really devote as much time to your family as you would like. So I really appreciate how willing my family was to accept my responsibility in this area. I can go on and on and on, and I did have something written out, but I don't want to really do that. I've always felt that soccer is a team sport, and I approached it with my coaching staff also. I've had Paul, who's been with me up to years. How many years is it, Paul? 28 years. Jay Steves, who's not here tonight, but he's been very inspirational to me in the last few years. Every time we had a practice, we would get together before practice, talk about what we're going to do, and he was just so important in terms of putting together the program, especially the last 10 years or so. I had him as a player, I had Paul as a player, so it was nice to bring those people along. I think Jimmy's also, Adina's in the room. He's so, yeah, there he is back there. I remember when president coach right now at Needham High, and he's going through a learning experience. And but I remember when I hired him as a math teacher, and he said he wanted to coach, and I said, well, he was thinking of going to a different school at that time, and I suggested that he coach, and we would be able to make up a difference in salary that it would have gotten in another school. So he came on board. So he's taken over, and we appreciate what he's going through in terms of the position he's learning about, and he'll do a good job. There's a lot of other coaches along the way, Jackson Foster, and I can go on with lots of names of people that have worked. Arnie Armquist was another one that worked tremendously hard. We taught together at Northeastern, and then we go right from practice to Northeastern. I was there at Northeastern for 22 years, and Arnie, I don't know, what, 12 years or so? Yeah. 27. Oh, who said I was good at numbers? But we would go right from one job right to another one, and it certainly paid off. Looking out, and I know I will forget some people. I don't want to drag this out too long. But Bucky, your job here in the soccer club is unbelievable. I've watched what you've done over the years, taking over, and it's sometimes a thankless job, but you've been doing an outstanding job there. I think the people in the town really appreciate it. Carl, you coming on the girls' side, and we're still waiting.
I got 50 more years. I'm there.
You're working on it, so that's good. And on and on. I appreciate the referees and all they've done over the years, and it's just been, I've been the luckiest guy in the world to be able to coach, and it's don't make much money on it, but I hate to tell you, my first year's teaching salary was $2,700. So that gives you kind of money that the teachers have went through for years and years, but we loved it. So I want to thank all of you, especially the players. You don't realize how much joy that you brought to my life. I really appreciate it. You made me laugh. What you did in practices was just so much fun. And someone asked me once, what part of coaching do you like the best? And I said, I like the practices. Because the players, they're just so much fun. There isn't any pressure on anybody to really do an outstanding job to win or to lose or do anything else. But you were just so much fun out in the field. And I'm going to miss it. I'll go and I'll watch it. And above all, thank you all. I appreciate this very much. Thank you.
Folks, thanks to everybody here, because you do share in something special. You share in something that so many people in different communities don't share in. That we are the legacy from what Dawn has provided to us to pass on to our kids about something that a community does for us that makes us, binds us together. And we all have that, and we will have that for the rest of our lives when we try and pass that on to the ones that are younger than us. So my applause to you, my appreciation to all of you for being here. I know Dawn appreciates. Have a good night, be safe, and feel free to stick around. Thank you, folks.
On this team.